Case closed. Justice served.
It's what police and prosecutors want to be able to say after a homicide, but getting there can be full of roadblocks, leaving victims' families in limbo.
In a 15 Finds Out special report, Alyssa Ivanson discovered that getting a conviction is much more complicated than you might think.
A dad who lost his daughter to gun violence last summer called 15 Finds Out. He's frustrated waiting for an arrest. So we took his questions to the prosecutor, who told us she gets frustrated too.
It's just something about that picture that just shows her smile.
A picture Leroy Allison holds dear, one he takes with him everywhere he goes.
I was just lying, love to laugh. That's her right there.
Alana Allison, a joyful 17-year-old. The high school junior just made varsity basketball at Concordia Lutheran.
Whoever said it's get easier, that's hard. I don't believe that. Not for it to happen that way.
Now Leroy keeps her close with her name on his wrist and on a cross by his heart.
We just wanted to go to a bonfire. And my mother, I grew up right around the corner on Winston Drive, so I know that neighborhood. So when she said that, I said, sure. Like I said, it was her birthday weekend. Told her to have fun and that I loved her. And that was about it.
Never thought that would be the last words.
No, in a million years, no.
That was August 29th last year. Gunfire between rival groups erupted at the party.
The phone rang. It said Lonnie had got shot, and I didn't believe it.
Alana died at a hospital. Now, almost 7 months later, her family still hoping for closure through the courts.
All the people that I've talked to, kids that was there, all of them are saying the same couple names, 4 or 5 names. And I guess the police have these names. Why there hasn't been an arrest made, I have no idea. I have no idea.
How frustrating is that for you to know that they're out in this community?
That's the hardest thing about it, because they still enjoying life. I went to a football game and they was at the football game. So remorseful? No, they're not remorseful. They still enjoying life.
It's really frustrating.
Allen County Prosecutor Karen Richards.
I think it's frustrating for us, it's frustrating for the police, it's frustrating for the victim's family.
Richards couldn't talk about Alana's death. The case is still open and under investigation. But she tells 15 Finds Out it's not uncommon for police to know who committed a crime and not make an arrest.
The word on the street is such and such did so and so. But if you don't have anybody that will come forward and testify, and if you don't have any physical or scientific evidence backing that up, you're pretty much stuck. And we hear that all the time.
Fort Wayne police records showed 28 homicides last year. 3 were declared justified self-defense by the prosecutor. Of the 25 left, 14 are still open investigations. 4 have warrants pending, and 7 cases, nearly a third, have arrests.
What does that number say to you?
You have to remember, it takes months sometimes to put together a decent case. So even if there's only been 7 arrests, that doesn't mean that there are only going to be 7.
Some cases could also be closed without an arrest.
And sometimes your suspect for homicide A is the victim in homicide B.
Exactly. Exactly, and that happened a few times in the stats from last year as your perpetrator. It may be a homicide, but your perpetrator's now deceased.
So it looks like it's unsolved, but it's actually solved.
It's actually solved, yeah.
It's not clear how many cases that applied to last year.
For the public who just says, well, what are you guys doing? What's your answer?
The police are investigating every single one of those, and charges on a lot of those will be filed. It's just that it is inappropriate to file something before it's ready.
Sometimes that means waiting for new evidence to surface, for witnesses to be willing to testify, leaving families waiting for arrests.
I think they keep on thinking that there must be a way, there must be a way, there must be a way, and what we keep on trying to explain to people is, if I file something and I lose, I'm done. I am done. The investigation stops. I can't ever redo it. It's done. Whereas if you keep on working on something, you just never know what's going to come up. I mean, we found defendants on homicide cases 20, 25 years after the crime and still been able to be successful in prosecution. So I know a frustrating thing to hear from us is you're just going to have to wait. But sometimes that's the way it is.
While he waits, a father fighting for justice for his daughter has a plea to the shooters.
I know it has to work on your conscience. If you was out there that night shooting, do the right thing. Maybe you can start a trend. You know, instead of doing the wrong thing, start a trend to doing the right thing. That's what I would say to them. You didn't know Lonnie. If you did, you should really turn yourself in.
And maybe more and more stories will have different endings.
Too many shootings going on with no arrest made. That's all you hear at the end of it. No arrest made. No arrest made need to be changed.
Just today, 15 finds out discovered from police that there is a pending warrant request in Alana's death investigation. Now, I also asked Karen Richards how she would describe this state of prosecuting homicides in Fort Wayne. She said they're doing something right because they don't lose them very often. Now, if you have any information on any of these homicides, call Crime Stoppers at 436-STOP. For 15 Finds Out, I'm Alyssa Ivanson.